Hey everybody, this is Mickey G. Welcome to this edition of Old Fools Talking Old School, where Rodney and I talk about everything from wisdom teeth removal to Sanka coffee.
Well, see, back when they came out with all this health care, they go in cycles. Whenever they want to make some damn money, everything that they know we do on a daily basis, they mess with it. Mm-hmm. And when they first came out with Equal was supposed to be the end-all, be-all. And before that, they had that little stuff in the pink package. I can't even think of the name of what it was. But it had aspartame. And you don't need that. And da-da-da-da-da. Then they come out with something new. And in my household back in the day, we had been drinking Folgers since forever. And Maxwell House. That's what if they didn't have Folgers, they had Maxwell House.
Right.
Then all of a sudden, no, drink Sanka. Sanka is better for you. We drinking Sanka now. I'm like, I'll be damned. It's always something. Then it was like, you should get your wisdom teeth out. Then they start saying, no, you don't really need to get. It's like whatever profession we would need to give them a boon for a little while. Let them make them some money. Now they don't recommend you take out your wisdom teeth and let they come in and start bothering you.
Yeah.
Man, it all runs in cycles. I mean, we lived long enough to see how many times they done made changes to stuff that they swear up and down. Oh, you need to stop doing this, You don't know what the hell you're talking about because you played golf with a doctor. Yeah, he told me that sleeping on those sleep apnea machines wasn't good for you. I said, well, what kind of doctor is he? Oh, he's a general practitioner. I said, so what does he know about sleep apnea? Y'all Negroes get in there just because somebody says he's a doctor. You think he know it all? Hell no. Mm-hmm. This sleep apnea has saved my life. Know what you're talking about?
Yeah, I'm the same way too. Just like I told you before. Whenever I see that commercial for that, I can't even think the name of it now. The thing that they implant.
Oh yeah,
sleep apnea. I can't.
Inspire.
You see the commercial for that, the guys, I got Inspire now and I have threw away the mask and I don't have the hose and I blah, 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 blah kind of thing. And I said, it's so misleading because it doesn't go anywhere near what all is involved with that Inspire,
right.
And I said, I know that because they're not going to tell you what they've got to do to run that lead up to your tongue, muscle, nerve and all that kind of stuff. They ain't going to tell you that in the commercial because it's going to turn 90% of the people off,
That's right.
But
they ain't going to tell you about after 5 or 10 years, we got to replace that. We got to put it.
Go back like a pacemaker. They got to go back in, and replace it. So I'm like, nah. And that's one thing I must admit about, some professions that are professional. When I went out there to ask about it, the lady told me, she said, you don't want that. So she said, if you weren't tolerating your mask at all, and you just said, hey, I don't wear it because I can't deal with it, and you were really having issues, I might suggest it. She said, but you're not having any problem. You've been on a mask for all these years. And she said, but it involves, they implant that in your chest. They run this lead up to the base of your tongue so that when it, if it does fall over or whatever, it basically shocks the tongue to move it kind of thing. She said, this is a invasive surgical procedure that we have to do to put this thing in, but they don't tell you that on the commercials. I said, no, they don't mention anything about that. It makes it seem like it's the best thing since sliced bread,
Oh yeah. It's like anything else in the medical profession. They're gonna see how many they can get first, and we done put all this supposed in for research and development. This is just another money making scheme, So we gonna tell you the glorified part of it because we need to sell this many. It's like the new medications that come out. Hell, it's worth more to them to get it out there and let people buy it with some good advertising. And we'll eat it if we get sued if somebody dies and all that kind of stuff, So you kind of have to be careful. It's just like the government we got right now. Everything is a carpetbagger mentality. Let's go down here and with the silver tongue and what we can get. I was listening to this preacher on radio today. I started listening to the little urban station I was out and about today. I said, hell, because believe it or not, hell, you get tired of damn XM.
Yeah.
I was like, let me listen to the local one. So this was Saturday. I'm like, well, they got a preacher on here Saturday. He up there. Now, of all the things you could be talking about as far as the Lord and as far as trying to save people's lives, you talking about how some of these Christians don't want to tithe. I'm sitting here, and I'm like, forgive me, Lord. But every time he said, money must be down because that's your sermon for the day. The Christians, you will go out and buy a $1,500 Beyonce concert ticket, but you won't tie to the church. Let me turn this mess off here. Excuse me, Lord. As well as Booker, Reverend Booker, gonna drive him a new car because y'all so worried about what somebody driving and how they dressing. He said, but y'all wasn't here during the lean days when I was driving a station wagon that when I started it up, you thought it was spraying for mosquitoes and all that. I'm just sitting here looking, and the whole time I'm listening, man, I'm thinking, Reverend Ike, here we go.
Yeah. But the thing that to me is different about preachers like that today and Reverend Ike basically came out and said, give me your money so I can live a lifestyle.
Yes, sir.
He wasn't bashful about saying, yeah, give me your money. Look at me. I'm going to use it and do whatever I want. These guys these days want to try to cover up that with, it's because the church needs it. The church does, and they know it's all coming for them too. That's the thing that bothers me about the preachers of today is that they try to hide, those kind of things that they're doing. But like I say, nothing wrong with driving a nice car. I'm not saying that, but I think, like as I'll say often,
go pay for your own damn car.
Yeah, you start to go down a pretty slippery slope when you start to look at things like, as you say, you don't know my bank account. You don't know what kind of money I got. You don't know what my bills are. You don't know what kind of things I got going on. And for to make that generalized statement of, people don't give the way they used to and those kind of things. If you're in it for the money, maybe you're in the wrong profession.
Right, and that's what a lot of them are. If his general purpose was to encourage giving and to help out those who are less fortunate, it ain't about giving to the church. Why am I going to give it to you so you can arbitrarily decide who to give it to? Mm-hmm. I can do that myself.
Right.
But they wanna make what I got of it. You're trying to guilt people into giving money to the church. Mm-hmm. So y'all can decide. If you're so serious about people helping other people, you should be encouraging people to help other people instead of hollering about give to the church. Now, granted, I understand the church needs some money to open the doors, but not to the extent that y'all talking about. People can do things. There's a whole multitude of things people can do to in honor of God's blessings and will to help others who are less fortunate. They ain't got to give it to you. It just. But there's so many people who. But I understand what they're doing too. There's so many people who listen to that, but that's an easy way out for them. I give it to the church, so that gives them a clean slate. I'm doing the Lord's work. I gave it to the church. Yeah, and so I was just amazed. I was like, this is a Saturday afternoon trying to hawk money. He must need a new Mercedes or something.
It just I don't know. I guess we're in a whole different time and things of that nature because there was a time many years ago where preachers didn't even get paid. That was almost like their calling. So they didn't get paid. And of course, as years went on, and I know back home we never had a preacher who that was his only job. They all had full-time jobs. They preached on Sunday, but they had full-time jobs.
That's right. And they lived in the parsons. They were proud too. These Negroes now they want your church to buy them a house.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, hell no. It's just like my partner that lives up there in Nashville. He came down to my dad's funeral too, as a matter of fact. He said, man, he said, there's so many fake preachers out there. It ain't even funny. I said, I know, man. That's why my first impression when I meet one is I have to watch him because I think you might be on the shady side. And, but he said, yeah, man. He said, I had this dude, he kept hollering about, wanting to be a minister and all this kind of stuff and all that. And so he was asking me, he said, yeah, it is a calling, man. He said, he told me his story about how he was fighting it, everything was leading him to it. And he was just like, no. So he said he made a statement one time. It'll be a cold day. No, he said it'll be a stormy day. I forget exactly how I said, but it'll be a stormy day, whatever, before I go into the ministry. He said he got woke up in the middle of the night one day. He said it was storming. He's like, man, storming going on? He looked outside, wasn't a drop of rain. He was like, He said, it scared me. He's like, he thought about it. He said, okay, Lord, what you want me to do? Then he got ordained. So I respect his story because, he works in mysterious ways.
Right.
So he said he parted this story to this guy. He said all of a sudden one day he called, I got my call. He's like, well, what happened in your life to do that? I got my call. That's all he can say is, I got my call. I'm like, good Lord. Because I guess they need some kind of endorsements or something or recommendations. I don't know. But he was telling them he got his call. I'm like, what some of them won't do just to, because there, especially in our community, there's prestigiousness with that job. And, some of these young ones out there, because the women flock to them.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Some of them, they all get the respect that they ain't never earned. It ain't meritoriously. It's just your position is what's getting that for you. So I'm like, man, if I'm going to play with anything, it ain't going to be the Lord. That's for sure.
No, I'm the same way. I feel you got to either be 100% committed or not committed at all. You just can't. And I just seem like I've been around, seen so many people who, that's the right thing to say. I go to church, I'm in the church and I do this and that. I'm like, yeah, you are. But some of the other things you be doing, I don't think that's the kind of stuff the Lord want to be seeing. Just cause you show up at church on Sunday, that ain't the only.
Exactly.
And now, since, a lot of them started having those Zoom kind of services back during COVID, a lot of them don't even show up to church, to the building anymore, you know. And there's some, debate about that concept of, unless you just are physically unable, you should be in the building, not on a Zoom call,
Right.
But yeah, I just feel that way too, that there's some people that I even was looking at, it's been a couple of years ago, somebody they wanted to give I think the Catholic Church wanted to make a saint, and, supposedly, and of course I'm not that adept in their religion, but there's supposed to be like 3 acts of like miracles you had performed to be eligible to be a saint. And they were talking about some of these things that, I can't remember who it was, but anyway, talking about, and I'm like, okay, has our definition of miracles changed over the years? I mean, to me, there's one thing that if you, just did something that you just would say a human is not supposed to be able to do that, or I could see that, but these were just simple kind of, well, he went to this one village and there was a person there that was having difficulty walking, and he helped them up and walked them down the street, kind of thing. I'm like, well, I don't think, to me, that doesn't meet the definition.
No.
But yeah, and I'm like, sometimes we get to the point to where, as they say, if you want to make it happen, you'll make it happen. You'll come up with something.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I mean, if you really think about it, so you're saying that the only people that ever that reached sainthood, they were all white. So nobody else meets that criteria. And the God that we know, he ain't parsing it out like that to just white people. And that's how they do it, man. It's well, I think believing in the supreme being is the supreme thing. We know that it is. But man has screwed that up down here on the ground and used it to manipulate and just take advantage of people. That's why they had those crusades back then, because they wanted to go in and bring their gospel. Hey, all them people were living fine. And if you've taken any sociology class, you know that Islam is the most consistent and most widely practiced religion that there is. But you wouldn't know that by listening to the propaganda here. And then you listen to some of the arbitrary things, like what here within the last 50 years, you couldn't have a black bishop, you couldn't have a woman bishop, you couldn't have, there's so many things that man, you can see where his hands are. It's just like this idiot we got in the office up there getting away with, and the stuff that he's doing, and they're justifying it. These some bitches are justifying it. It's like that Ghislaine Maxwell. All of a sudden now she's in a luxury prison down there, cause hell, they done told her, don't say nothing, and we're gonna pardon you. Everybody know what that is. Where's all this? Well, we gonna meet at the end of September. Y'all got plenty of time to coach her and school her on what not to say. And what not to say is that Trump wasn't there, which that sorry bastard was. So I done got so tired of listening to it, man, that I have stopped listening to it. And right before when you called me, I said, well, let me look at some news, because I haven't been looking at it. I'm sick of it. And just like this bastard fired that woman that told the truth about the statistics, because it wasn't what he wanted to hear, they fired her. And this sorry-ass Congress let her get away with it. I'm sick of listening to it, man. I've just kind of distanced myself from it. But I said, let me listen to some of this stuff we'll talk about tonight. Man, I turned it on there I went from MSNBC to that, whatever it is on, I can't think of the name of it now, that other one that they came out with. Then I looked at Fox for a few minutes, and it's just all propaganda and bull stuff. And I'm like, I can't listen. I get enough of it, just the little sound bites. You get the gist of it. It's the same old stuff, man.
Yeah. That's why, I've been that way for, well, probably ever since the election. I was watching more. I think I told you back then I was watching more, MSNBC and CNN and all that kind of thing than I ever had before, because the election was going on. But ever since then, I've just sort of, and like I say, I don't think I would ever totally just tune out the news.
Yeah.
I think you need to know what things are going on in the world. There are some things that go on in the world that impact you personally. But like you say, knowing what the current environment is, and I'm not just saying just current environment. It's been this way for a long time now.
Yeah.
It's been this way for a long time. That I just, like you say, I do the sound bite. It get to the point now to where I turn on the news more now to see the weather than to see the news.
Yeah, exactly.
It's especially around here. Cause I get up in the morning, because I used to get up and go to my walk in the morning. I get up in the morning, turn the news on, see what the weather forecast is for the day and everything of that nature. But it seems like every damn newscast, all they want to talk about is somebody shooting somebody, and somebody killing somebody.
Yes,
and I'm like, surely there's more on the news, but almost every breaking news story, and they've gotten to the point now to where breaking news is not like in the old days where this just happened and it's impacting the world. Breaking news is, well, there's been a shooting down on Jefferson Street.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a shooting on Jefferson Street every damn morning or at night, So why is this considered breaking news now? This ain't breaking news,
Exactly.
But so I get to the point now where I just turn it on primarily to listen to the weather and see what the weather's going to be. Because I'm, like I say, I just gotten to the point where I just don't want to listen to all that other mess that's going on, and so, yeah, and that's sort of a sad state, and I can tell, because my normal routine is I listen to the local news. I go out and do my little walk, and I come back, and I get back in time for the local news to go off and like the Today Show or whatever to come on. And all I got to do is listen to their lead. If their lead is, this is, July 23rd and, 100 million people are under heat advisories. I say to myself, well, ain't much news going on there, because if they're leading with the weather, there ain't a whole lot of news going on.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I don't need to listen any farther than that. If they're leading with that. Now, if they come out and they lead with something that I consider truly to be newsworthy, I might listen in to see what it's about. But yeah, I mean, I've gotten to that point to where I can almost gauge the gist of the news, the network news shows, just by their leading story. And if it's about the weather or things of that nature, then I know there ain't much going on.
Right.
And it's going to be the same old stuff. So I'm the same way. I'm sort of.
And then show after show repeats the same
thing over and over again.
And over
again. It was funny. I was listening back. It was local news this morning, and I noticed they didn't run this story but one time this morning. But they were talking about this neighborhood outside Nashville that they were having. There was a sewage leak that was leaking into this little creek in this neighborhood. And of course, you can imagine the smell and everything. They had local citizens talking about, yes, it's bad. It was terrible. And so a couple of ladies decided they knew where the leak was pretty much coming from, where it was dumping into this creek. So they walked out in all this mess, I'll say, and they found where it was coming at, So they called the city to come out, and they came out and they said, yeah, they found that it was there was a blockage there that was causing it to overflow. But the thing is they said, and the city representative said that it was the blockage was caused by a large number of rags in the system.
Oh,
now, the first thing I'm thinking about,
you know
what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I can't see, why would you be putting like a rag you use to wipe your car down or whatever in the toilet,
Yeah.
And I noticed the next hour that story wasn't on. And I said, I just wonder if somebody called the station and said, did anybody listen to what y'all are saying in that story? Mm-hmm. I said, I know it probably is not a term that maybe is used as much these days as back in our day. But I said, for somebody, an old school person, when I heard them say that, I'm like, I don't think that's what you want to say on a newscast, So yeah, it's just it's funny, all the stuff that'll be on there, and sometimes you be thinking, did anybody really listen to this before y'all went on the air and talked about this?
Mm-hmm. They're making them superhuman now. You know what's clogging it up. And the sad part about it is, why y'all got open sewage going even available to get in there?
Yeah. They do that kind of stuff, man. But it just, and they were having one of the big stories here. Built a brand new school in this county right next to us, Wilson County, brand new school, and school's about to open. And for some reason, they don't have their sewage lines hooked up right, so they're gonna have to transport the sewage from the school every day. And first meeting with the school board, the city council was, how can you build a school and have it passed all the codes requirements and not have a sewage line hooked up? And they were talking about, well, yeah, it was an oversight on our part. I'm thinking, well, damn, who got oversight on this?
Yeah, I
think I would be smart enough to know, well, we got to make sure our sewage lines are hooked up before we do anything else. But no, they're going to have to transport sewage in trucks for next 2 or 3 months so they can get this sewage line thing fixed out.
So much for merited positions.
That's what I'm saying. So yeah, it just makes you wonder sometime,
Whose brother-in-law got that contract?
Yeah. Just another one of those things that make you go, Well, we hope you enjoyed this edition. Join us next time for Old Fools Talking Old School. Until then, this is Mickey G. Peace.